think that a child will go to school and express what he's being taught at home and hurt somebody else and put somebody else down? It's okay to have a preference. And I asked y'all that specifically about interracial dating. You can have a preference without having to knock somebody else and put somebody else down. If you don't want to date white tea women, that's fine. But let's not say white tea women are ugly, white tea women don't have this, white tea women. Okay? Just like we don't want somebody saying that shit about us.
So
Yeah, but
okay,
most people who
so
can I tell you why I feel like that?
so you said that you would feel.
They'll say that about their own people.
You said you would feel offended if a white man said he wouldn't want to date black women. Why would you feel offended by that?
If he said I think black women are unattractive, or if he said I think black women don't have class, I think black women are ignorant, and he used that as a reason to why he would never date a black woman, that of course would offend the fuck out of me. Of course it would.
Why does his opinion matter though?
It's not about his opinion mattering. It's that you offended me. It's not so much that, because you know what? Let me tell you something. Even a little child can offend you. I had one of my friends were over. Okay, I had two friends over. One of them had a little girl. One of my other friends is a bit overweight.
Ooh.
And the child came up to her and said, "Why are you so fat?"
Period.
Hey, yo, why you say that? Period.
Because that's a direct, pure question. That's a pure, innocent question, though.
Even though that was a little child, right? Who doesn't pay your bills, but you could clearly see she was very offended by that. So
the reason why I asked you that is because, like, as far as history goes, and history that it wasn't just too long ago that even still right now we're considered quote unquote animalistic. Why would that offend you?
Everybody's animalistic. Fuck that shit. Not your.
But what do you mean by animalistic? Because I know we share a lot of similarities with animals, of course. So when you say animalistic, in which aspect? Sexually? What are we talking about?
White T-Man burden. Written by the white T-Man.
Savage.
He's saying how we're viewed as
Savage?
Yes.
Yeah.
But who's talking like that?
That's the
I've never heard somebody
100 years ago. That's how
I've never had a white tea person tell me that I was animalistic. Me personally, I can only speak from my experience.
Come on, bro. Stop doing that. Stop doing that.
I mean,
when has that happened?
No, I hear you.
It has. It literally has. They put us in old black and white films and made us animalistic.
How many people are you saying? A whole congregation of white tea people came over and said, "Big Pops, your ass is."
Yeah, they said we're like 2/3 human. What are you talking about?
Who is they?
I've heard that.
I'm trying to understand. Who are you talking about?
The reason why I asked because, like, look, I don't live in
white folks on TV.
Like, once upon a time, Texas was its own country. Example, the Civil War. The Confederate flag.
I can see a little.
You feel me? So I'm not from there. You feel me? But I do hear all the time. Down there, there's certain sundown towns you can't go down in Texas. Still to
Bro, tell me, where was California?
Hold on, Big Pot. I will say you're right.
That's what I'm saying. That's how they view it.
Hold on. You're right. There are a lot of racist, super racist towns that I wouldn't be caught in at all.
Right.
But I can also say there's a lot of ghetto hoods that I also don't want to motherfucking go to. That's the truth.
So?
What's going to happen
So
to you
I
out there?
think to say there's also different parts of communities that nobody wants to fucking go to. For different reasons, but I still don't want to be there.
Wait, but you gotta allow.
And guess what?
Can I tell you why?
This is one thing I'm gonna tell you. If you had the opportunity to get out where you live, if you live in the hood, guess what? You're gonna take that first ticket out that hood if you get the opportunity. So don't trip. So don't be blaming us. Don't be blaming us because we got out the hood because you still in it. Get yourself out the hood.
Hey, bro, shut up, bro.
Ain't nobody going through that hood unless I'm going to get a cheesesteak. Unless I'm going to get a cheesesteak.
It's not even needed.
Unless I'm going to get a cheesesteak. That's when I go back to the hood. I get a cheesesteak from the hood.
Listen. If it don't apply, let it fly. You don't even got to respond.
Then I'm getting out of there. If I can get delivery, I'm gonna get delivery. I'm telling you.
What the fuck is
No, I'm just saying, like, what conservative said, if it don't apply to you, let that fly. You're not talking to me.
Can I tell you why I said
What the fuck is going on?
I just had a question real quick for Big Pots and then we can open panel. Big Pots, are there certain black neighborhoods or black areas that you're like, hey, I don't want to go over there because they always
I grew up.
I'm gonna keep it.
There's a lot of places that I would not go in Michigan because I know what it is. The only thing I want us to say is
we know that racism exists. We know there's a lot of horrible racist people. I'm never going to tell you that's not true.
Yeah,
But I also want to say that black people, we also treat each other like shit and we can be a danger to one another as well.
That's a
So
fact.
I can't only focus on this particular group. I can focus on us as a united nation. We're supposed to be United States. It's
Right.
not segregated states, it's united. But that doesn't discredit that there's racist towns. And saying that there's racist towns doesn't discredit that there's black communities that are dangerous that I don't want to go to, right? There's that we live in a fucked up place. But
Uh-huh.
it's how we treat each other. If like one of the girls on the panel said to me, she was saying that white tea women can't wear braids because it's offensive. And then I said, well, if you're buying your hair from Asia, would you be offended if the Asian women there told you that you're trying to be an Asian woman?
Right.
And she said, no. And then I said, what if you wore Caucasian Russian hair? And she said, I would never put a dirty white tea woman's hair in my head.
Mm.
And you know what disappointed me the most? The white tea women who were on the panel didn't say anything. They didn't say anything. And I think they've been conditioned to just not say shit. But you know how they do hurt us though? They hurt us at work. Now we're not getting the jobs we qualify for. There's certain white tea people who say, okay, I might not say nothing to you, but I'm a pencil whip you. Do you know what that is? When you get written up for dumb shit at work and you can't get promotions and now you're being ostracized at work.
But that
So
was
if
always a
we
thing.
say, right, but what I'm saying is stop giving people ammunition to hurt you. You can still have a different system, right? If you don't want to date white people, Asian people, Mexican people, that's fine. But when you get online and you start doing that hatred, they're going to remember that and they're going to take it out on the next black person because they couldn't get to you. That's how it's hurting us as a whole community. That hurts us. We got to stop doing that shit.
Well,
You know what?
Yeah, as it relates to the hair, though,
You know,
it's more
smart
he
cultural.
was
people,
saying that.
smart people don't come at you. You know, smart people don't come at you. Smart people let you hurt yourself, and that's one of my sayings. I love in life.
No,
If
shut
you use
up.
it, you owe me a quarter. You owe me a quarter. You can't get out your own way. You can't get out your own way. So I'm gonna let you fall on your face. That's it.
Okay.
Yes, so
Does
the
anybody
say
else
it's
want to
not your
respond?
damn
more
plate,
like
not
a
your
Because what I
cultural
want,
thing.
what I
So
want
I
people to
understand
remember
what she
is
was
this,
speaking
right?
about with the
Okay,
braids, you know?
Princess, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go. Let me just say this. What I want people to remember is I'm not pro white. I'm not pro black. I'm pro what right, right? Let's do what's right because I don't want to be penalized at work because some black person was saying some hateful rhetoric and now my boss is triggered and now hates black people. Right? I don't want my kids to have to suffer for some shit that someone else did. And I don't want white tea people to have to suffer because of what another white tea person did. We got to stop that that's a vicious cycle and we'll never break free out of it until we recognize when we're doing it. Princess, I'm going to let you talk and then we'll open panel. Go ahead, baby. Thank you for the gift.
So I think black people aren't a monolith. So at the same time, I think black people are always treated like, oh, if one black person does something, the rest of black people should get this behavior. Yet still, their history of hundreds of years of people doing this worldwide and doing certain things. And we, as a collective, are expected to not have walls against them. Whilst I don't think that people should be rude or mean to people just off the bat based off their race, people do have true reasons and reasoning to behave this way because racism isn't a thing of the past. Certain segregation laws and stuff like that, you know, were ended like some decades ago and stuff. Like, you know, black people are still going through it, whether they're wealthy or not. There's racial profiling in the suburbs. So many microaggressions and things that black people still go through today, you know? So
Right.
I think it's kind of unfair to push that, you know, thing on one person where other black people should get the blunt of their you know, feelings towards the collective white people, because there's still whitey people that act that way in real life and on social media, right? And to talk about the hair thing, I get your point. Asian hair, all those things. But the braids is actually culturally significant to Black ancestry because it was a way of, the enslaved Black people of the time to show escape routes to the other enslaved people and, show them other things as well when the slave masters used to force them to not do these things or take away the stuff that they would use to communicate. Yes, dear.
Princess, is it okay if we share our culture with other people?
No.
Is it? Hold on a second, real. Hold on, babe. Is it okay though if we say we can recognize that braids are absolutely beautiful, and if somebody wants to wear them, can we acknowledge that as maybe a compliment to us?
Is it
Why does that
shared,
always
but
have to be
or is it
offensive?
stolen?
Because of the history of where it's
Stolen?
coming
How do
from
you
and the
steal
fact
a
that
hairstyle?
it's the fact that it's
Still a
not just a
right.
hairstyle and the fact of the history of where it's coming from and the fact that so many cultures worldwide fought to protect these same things that we can use today
But
as Black
Princess, I
people.
don't think that anyone can say. I don't think anyone can say that braids originated in, let's say, Sweden, right? I don't think anyone's ever had that argument. If I see someone wearing braids, to me, in my opinion, I think they're paying homage to Black people by embracing our culture and wearing their hair in styles similar to us, which also helps normalize the style and make it more
Right.
socially accepted.
And it's progressive.
Can we
It's
not
progressive.
see it as that?
Listen, I'm not even a girl.
No, that's
I'm not even a girl,
Popular
but I
before
know
them.
that white people wore braids for thousands of years. The Vikings.
It's not even for
the
their
Vikings
hair, to be
wore
honest.
braids.
over people.
Hold
bro.
on,
Listen,
hold
the
on.
Vikings wore braids.
Let me
Get the
hold
fuck
on.
out of here.
Let me
The Caucasians
Princess,
wore braids back in the day.
conservative.
Okay,
You're
but those are
always the
white
one
people.
that's interrupting me. Hold on. Let me give Princess a
Nasty
minute
ass
to
face.
finish because I asked her a question. We'll jump to Josh. Let's talk about the hair because obviously this is a topic.
I
I'm going
love
to
this
say this
topic.
before I let Princess go. I'm going to say this. Sometimes imitation is flattery, right? Sometimes can we ever see it as that now our style and things that are precious to us are being embraced by other people? I don't want, if I have something very good and sacred and true, I don't want to keep it to myself if I think it's something that is absolutely beautiful. I want people to embrace things that I like and things that I hold dear.
If it's
So, with
sacred,
that
you
being
want people
said,
to have what's sacred.
braids are sacred?
I'm just saying, you use that word. That's all.
No, you did use that
No,
word.
I said things that I cherish. So let me clarify. Things that I cherish. If I think that my car, like if I think something that I like is beautiful, I don't want to hold that just for myself. If that's something in my culture, like Italian, right? I love Italian food, right? I'm half Italian. I'm half black. I would never tell somebody
I knew it. I
you're not
knew it. I knew
Italian.
it.
You're not Italian, so therefore you should not eat Italian food because this type of pasta is very, very, very cultured. This is our culture. We ate this during the Roman Empire when all this happened. Therefore, you can't eat it. I want people to enjoy my food. I want people to embrace my culture. That's my personal perspective. But let me just go to Princess. Let's open panel about letting people embrace our culture.
And I'm gonna ask
Princess,
you a question
baby.
though.
Okay, hold on, real.
So,
Let me get to Princess real quick.
You be
I
saying a
think
lot without no input.
appreciation is definitely different from appropriation, right? And nothing is wrong with certain cultures appreciating things, but the thing is the history where the braids come from with, the whitey people oppressing Black people and taking away a lot of their customs and cultures. So those things that are preserved, people are protective over it, and to be fair, I mean, those styles were popping and popular before they were using them either way. I get the fact of the flattery, right? But a lot of them don't come across as flattery. And when people school them on the history, they're disrespectful. So I think that's what it is. I don't think that someone should attack someone because they have been braids. That's crazy to
But
physically attack
Princess,
someone.
is this something that you've seen yourself? Have you seen? First, let me ask you, Princess. Tell me what year braids originated.
where it originated. What?
We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that.
Hold on,
We're not about to do that to her. We're not about to do that to her.
Hold on.
Not about to do that to her though.
Hold on, Will. Don't do that. Hold on. I'm talking to
All right,
Princess.
so
Hold on.
let's hear on
hold
AI.
on, real quick.
African braid history reveals that braiding
Hold on,
dating
Princess.
back to
Hold on, Princess. Did you know before I asked you that question? Honestly, baby, did you know that
answer? Specific date. No,
hold on, Princess.
Specific date.
Princess, did you know the answer before I asked you that question?
I know that it was long time ago, near this time.
Okay.
I didn't know the specific 3,500.
You didn't know this?
BC,
okay.
But I know that it was definitely before the Caucasians and white people.
Princess, do you know who the founder of box braids?
Right.
Of what?
Who was the founder? Who was the first person that created the style? I'm asking you a very simple question. Princess, who was the founder of box braids?
I'm not gonna hold you. Vikings wore braids, y'all. Vikings. White people wore braids.
Yeah, so
It's different.
South Africa.
Okay. So
and
this is what I want to say, right? We don't know our own fucking history when it comes to braids for real.
Period.
We can say they probably came from Africa.
You gotta start reading books and think
hold
smart.
on. I'm talking to Princess. 1 second. You can't. We know Africa's a continent, right? That's like somebody saying, well, they came from Europe. Well, where the fuck in Europe? Because Europe is a continent. That's not a country. Sometimes we confuse, right? But I think it's important to notice that we don't have to know the details of the history, right, to pay homage. I don't need to know exactly who the founder of it was. So why should I expect everyone else to know who wears braids?
But it's my history, not theirs, and I didn't oppress
their people. But you don't even know it.
You don't know that, Princess. You don't know that, Princess.
No, but I did. I don't have to know every part of it. No, I don't have to know every part of it.
Why is the white
I told you
person?
enough.
But you don't.
Just because I don't know every